and boom goes the dynamite.
Welcome back to the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show. This is Daily Dive. I am your host, Michael Carvelis, as always. It is Wednesday, November 15, 2023. The time is currently 1:01 p.m. here on the East Coast in Georgia, and we welcome you once again to this show. Head to Daily Dive Lax on social media and or YouTube and click the link tree in our bios. There you will see the Our Store tab. Remember, new logo means new merchandise. So when the season starts in the NLL on December 1st, you'll see new merchandise for Daily Dive on that day as well. So remember, Daily Dive Lax, that's Daily Dive LAX on social media and or YouTube. And remember, if you're here to subscribe, but click the link tree and there you'll see the Our Store tab. Shop till you drop and your heart's content. On today's show, we're going to start off with the PLL announcing their home cities, and it didn't go so well in the comments section. We'll talk about that and make sense of it. Also, NLL Futures based on FanDuel. We're going to see what the sports book has in store and which ones I like. Although I have not made my picks yet, we're going to see how that pans out and what value is in there right now. Also, we'll have another Mike's Best with my rant from Nepean Knights lacrosse yesterday. And, of course, ESPN and NLL's big announcement. But first, we got to get to this. It's breaking news here on Daily Dive. The Toronto Rock will play the New York Riptide in Montreal on February the 16th. It will be the first game since 2002 held in Montreal for the NLL. So I'll give a big shout out to them. That should be announced later on. But just to let you know, Rock Riptide in Montreal on February 16th. Okay, let's get to this. Did you know the PLL fans were not happy? I do want to mention, I thought it was great that the PLL was sponsored by Whirlpool. I think I may have mentioned that yesterday, like the appliance company. Pretty big deal, I would say. And it's kind of like Kenmore, Samsung makes their own stuff too. But Whirlpool was a big deal. I thought bringing in money for the PLL that I thought was, again, a great thing because lacrosse needs money. And obviously, it helped the Paul Rabel company out a lot. So PLL announced their home cities. And I just want to mention what they are. I'm not necessarily a fan of this model that they're doing right now, but I will say this. What they said was the Utah Archers, the New York Atlas, Philly Water Dogs, Maryland Whipsnakes, California Redwoods, Carolina Chaos, Denver Outlaws, who replaced the Chrome, and the Boston Cannons. Now, Denver Outlaws and Boston Cannons, I believe, are former NLL teams, which is where Paul Rabel had the most success in his lacrosse career, outside of course World Championships with the USA. But it was very interesting that the fans immediately fired up on Twitter, and colored me impressed, did not realize there were this many of them in the Midwest. But there were quite a few reactions from them that I thought we might get to, because this was pretty much the universal feeling among these fans. 1 hour ago, Davey said this: replacing the Chrome is a travesty. And I don't know if I care about like the Chrome mascot itself, but I really liked their colorway, like a lot of people did. And people were like, we get the barbed wire Outlaws back. Like, what is this? Bill Solich, who's a friend of the show, has commented many times on social media, said disappointed they skipped the Midwest and also the Pacific Northwest. Kyle Lehrer says this is a case study in how to alienate a large section of the fan base and turn them into former fans. Leaving out the Midwest, especially Minnesota, with its close connections to the origins of the sport, is a giant miss. Lil Sus, MBA said Midwest shafted. Joe Schmo, username Joseph Schmosef _ said the owners of one of the teams couldn't even land a home team. Sad day for PLL and lacrosse fans of the Midwest. Greg Donahue said, disgraceful. Where's the Midwest? You know, the place that creates all the food you eat. Wow. I do want to mention that, again, I was impressed, but also kind of surprised at how many Midwest fans spoke out against this. I want to mention something that producer Joe brought to my attention that I thought kind of puts a little bit of perspective on this, even though I'm not like, I don't like Carolina chaos. I think it's a little bit weird because we know, again, that could just be recency bias talking because a lot of Buffalo Bandits are on that team. But it seems like Carolina chaos is just like an alliteration at this point. Like, people wanted the chaos in New York for whatever it's worth. But producer Joe brought to my attention there's only 8 teams, which is a very good point. Like, you weren't going to please everybody. And there is a gigantic section of the map that is kind of cut off in the United States. Some people were not happy. There was no teams in Canada. And producer Joe also mentioned a good point to me that if a league is changing and trying to update what they're doing, they're going to have, quote, growing pains. And I thought that was a very good point, combined with the fact there is only 8 teams. Like, you want to obviously, to be fair, if you look at a map of like populations, like when populations are spread out on a map, there's a lot here in the East and a lot here in the West, or however it looks on the screen. There's not many inside. Like, if you look at those T-Mobile and Verizon commercials, they're saying, here's our coverage. Most of it is here and here. It's not way in here. So I just want to put that in perspective that maybe the Midwest, maybe they feel like they could get more exposure on the coasts, which is kind of true in a way, although it's not really fair. Maybe they'll expand in a couple of years. We don't know. One of the things that I made kind of fun on Twitter/X was this point. I felt like I said, you want to pour salt in the wound on the PLL home cities, or like no Midwest teams, conferences. I thought that they divided an 8-team league into conferences was pretty, I thought was funny. Again, I'm not here to poo-poo on the PLL. I thought it was an announcement that was highly anticipated. And as with most like things like uniform announcements, people don't like those. Like, they just usually don't. Change is hard to come by sometimes. And producer Joe, I talked to him, and he was first to this by saying he's not a big fan of this, but who knows if it'll grow on people or not. Again, I'm not a fan of like 7 teams being the away team for that weekend. I think it's kind of weird. If there are, like, let's say you go to Carolina Chaos game or weekend, and there's like a bunch of Carolina fans there, and people in the Utah Archers and California Red Wings are like, well, this kind of sucks. Like the players, at least. I think it's kind of weird to alienate 7 teams as opposed to just 1 for like a home and away game. But it's just an interesting concept. Again, I'm kind of indifferent. I kind of lost interest in the PLL, but I thought it was something we should talk about. I was going to talk about this either way, no matter how fans reacted, but I was just kind of shocked that every single commenter was like, this sucks, this is terrible, Midwest got shafted. And it may be true for now, but if you're trying to grow the league, I guess I kind of get it. I did like that there was comparisons to the MLL, not just with the teams, but with like everybody slammed on each coast. I mean, so far, can we really? I don't want to. I hate give this guy credit, but can we really doubt Paul Rabel at this point? The dude has opened up some doors for lacrosse that we haven't seen in quite some time, if ever. So I got to give him credit where it's due. I don't like this home thing much. But maybe they have the long-term goal. Maybe they have analytics that we don't, and companies like that usually do. So shout out Paul Rabel. Oh, God, that hurt to say. I'm kidding. Shout out to the PLL for getting this done, and we'll see if in 5 years from now how we're feeling about it. I'm not going anywhere. I don't know if you guys aren't. Speaking of not going anywhere, we're not going anywhere here on the Daily Dive. Coming up next, NLL Futures. Presented by FanDuel. Well, not presented by, but according to FanDuel Sportsbook. We ain't that cool yet. We're going to get to that. There's some good value in there and some head scratchers, if you will. This is Daily Dive. We'll be right back. love that song. Too bad it's going to be missed when we get our new logo and such on December 1st. But anyways, it is Wednesday, November 15th, 2023. This is the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show, and it is 1:11 p.m. here on the East Coast. Hey, make a wish. I'm kidding. That's 11:11. I tried. Hope you guys are enjoying the show, however you are enjoying it. And when you are watching our show, whether it be replay or live, why don't you go ahead and visit the link tree in our bios, whether it be on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe, by the way. We're up to 53. You guys are awesome. This is a grassroots program, fat pals. So check out the link tree in our bios. Click the Our Store tab. New logo, new merchandise, match made in lacrosse heaven. Check it out. Shop till you drop. We still have great shirts even before season 2 officially gets going. But thanks so much for all you guys do. We sold some merchandise last year. That was kind of cool. Whoever you are, God bless. All right. It's time for NLL Futures. Provided, well, actually, I looked at this on FanDuel Sportsbook. Okay. So I want to full disclose this one. I'm not a betting expert, although I'd like to think I am sometimes, but I'm really not. I'm just a diehard sports fan and diehard NLL fan. So take light of this weight I'm about to talk about. Also, I want to say that I forgot what the other thing was. Anyways, the point is, I'm going to look at these futures for you guys. They're listed at the bottom of the screen. They're going to keep on scrolling. But right now, the Buffalo Bandits and the San Diego Seals are tied at plus 650, which is like 6.5 to 1. When I first looked at this before the weekend, it was the Seals like plus 550 and the Bandits at plus 650. So that's now even though the Bandits were the defending champions. I think Bandits should have a little bit better, well, worse odds, if you will. I believe the Bandits should have different odds. Rock coming at third, it's plus 750. There are 3 teams tied at 10 to 1. Halifax Thunderbirds, Colorado Mammoth, and the Philadelphia Wings. I know these odds are not the greatest because we're still kind of breaking through the flesh here in the betting landscape of lacrosse, but I think the Wings and maybe the Mammoth should be over the Thunderbirds, in my opinion. So 10 to 1, Wings are really Wings look stacked. The Wings look good. They might have Deacon Knott this year, and if they don't have Deacon Knott, they have Zach Higgins. So pick your poison of goalies. I think them and the Mammoth are better than the Thunderbirds. I'm just serious about that. I think they have better goaltending, especially in the playoffs. So I like the Wings at 10 to 1 if you want to take a little bit of a moonshot. But there's even more than this. Saskatchewan Rush are at 12 to 1. They are tied with Calgary and Panther City. I'm not shocked at that because of what I said about the landscape of betting in lacrosse is not the best right now. But the fact that the Rush, who did not make the playoffs last year, are tied with the Roughnecks and Panther City, who both made the playoffs, both played very well. Especially with no conferences, it blows my mind. I know the Rush have a big fan base. I know that Derek Keenan has vowed that, they're like trust him one more time. And I know they added Patrick Dodds. I understand all that. I'm not buying it. I'm sorry, Adam Levy. I'm sorry to Cody Jansen. I'm not buying it right now. I think Calgary, those are fantastic. I'm not as high on Panther City, even though I all respect to Callum Crawford and John Donville and all the friends of the show. But Calgary Roughnecks at 12 to 1 with those two, it's just like the Wings. I feel like of this tier of 12 to 1 teams, Calgary's got the best value in here by far. Then you have the Riptide at 14 to 1. The Georgia Swarm at 16 to 1 below the Riptide is insane. I think that's very good value, and it's still not even my best value. So far, I like the Wings at 10 to 1, the Roughnecks at 12 to 1, the Swarm at 16 to 1, because Lyle Thompson, another year of Brett Dobson and company. Then you have the Vancouver Warriors at 20 to 1, and tied with Vancouver. Vancouver was horrible last season. I don't care if you put Kurt Molosky there or not. Rochester Nighthawks being tied with them, that is by far the best value. Connor Fields is incredible. When he's on it, Ron Hartley is incredible. My best odds would probably go to 20-1 with Rochester. Because after that, you got the back of the bus, you got Albany and Las Vegas, 25-1 for Albany and 30-1 for the Desert Dogs. I don't think those teams are going to do well. Someone has to finish 14th and 15th, and they might be the team to do so. As myself and producer Jill have already mentioned, we have ranked some of these teams already with our previews. Remember, I had the Rocket number 2. I've got Calgary number 5, and currently they are 8th on that list. I've got Saskatchewan number 12. How about let's just do the Rochester thing too? I've got Rochester at 6, and they are number 9. Nice. No, I lied. They're number 13, and I ranked them number 6. Now, I know I'm not like the Kingdom Come when it comes to this stuff, but I do the only Monday through Friday live lacrosse talk show. There's some weight to my voice here, and not just with the flubber going on here. I'm talking about there's some weight to this thing. I've got them at 6. FanDuel's got them at 13 of 15. Woo! Interesting stuff there. And if you the Swarm, I'm not going to unveil that yet, but Swarm at number 11. Interesting stuff there as well. I just thought, let me know what you guys like about the odds. Tell me if you think just go all in on the Bandits at plus 650 and like drop 1,000 on it. Are we going to sprinkle some mucho dinero on the Rochester and Georgia Swarm here? Are we going to give love to Calgary? Because I think Calgary, again, 12-1, they could very much win it. So there's good parity in the league right now, and these odds do not necessarily reflect that. So I'm excited. I'm very excited for the upcoming season. Cannot wait to keep previewing it with you here on this show. Again, you're watching Daily Dive here on Wednesday, November 15th, 2023. The time is currently 1:18 p.m. in Georgia, home of the Swarm. I'm not even going to do that. But when I come back after this Mike's Best, ESPN and the NLL announced a bigger partnership this year. We cannot wait to talk about it next. It's already been released online. If you haven't seen it, well, we're going to talk about it. We'll be right back to Daily Dive. Don't go anywhere. I know you will not. They could provide the financial support. So what's the holdup? What's the deal, Kitchener? What's the deal, Peterborough? Care to comment, as Jake Elliott said? You hinder the game you swear to grow. You stunt it. You're like taking a child and beating his head in. You don't want it to grow. You don't care. Grow the game. Ha! I told you guys, it's a brand. It's a safe-face brand. When we're doing this, we don't care. It's not working. You got a long ways to go. It's a good line. It's a great line. It really is. Yeah, grow the game. Yeah, grow the game. Grow the game. Actually, grow the game. Grow the game. That's all we ever say is grow the game. Well, we're waiting. I love the memes. I mean, like you see like the we're waiting thing. I never actually seen that clip in real life. I've just seen the GIF of it all. But we're waiting. Hey. I misspelled that on Instagram Reels, by the way. I said Napian. It's Napian spelled with an E-N-E and not N-A. So I apologize to those Knights lacrosse fans who are out there. I encourage you to watch yesterday's show because I wasn't too happy about it. I feel like if you want to grow the game, you got to do so in a way that's inviting and not shunning people. So, yeah. You're watching the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show. This is Daily Dive here on Wednesday, November 15th, 2023. The time is currently 1:20 here in Georgia. Welcome to those of you who are joining live. Those of you on replay, hope you guys are doing well as well. We've already talked about the PLL homes and the fan reactions behind them, and how there was no Midwest teams, and fans were very vocal about that. But how producer Joe has mentioned, there's could be some growing pains because there's only 8 teams. It's a league that's trying to, expand, and we should respect that. And also, they did have East and West conferences, which again, I thought was funny. NLL Futures, I feel like Rochester and Georgia, even Calgary, have great odds. You want to hop on FanDuel Sportsbook or anywhere, they're pretty much the same everywhere. But I thought those three teams had really good odds unless you want to just smash $1,000 on the Buffalo Bandits. And of course, we just talked about Mike's best. And now it's time for ESPN and NLL. They've announced an interesting deal, I would say. So this season, the National Lacrosse League and ESPN will combine for 10 linear games, 10 nationally televised linear games. So I just want to give a big round of applause to Brett Brood and everybody working behind the scenes with this whole thing. Exceptional work by getting this done. I honestly, of the off-season news so far, we've had quite a few. I think NLL Unboxed was pretty awesome. This might be up there with one of my favorite things of the offseason. And maybe I'll do a list of like my favorite things of the offseason, my top 5. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow because I'm mentioning it now. But I think this was huge because we all know, to be fair, the PLL has ESPN like wrapped up. Okay, Dan Orlovsky, Stephen A. Smith have talked about it. Paul Rabel's been on First Take, which really was like, wow, are you kidding me? Barstool Sports talks about the PLL, and I was like, well, there's no room for NLL anymore. I was right. And then this happens. Oh, thank you. So let's get to those games for you guys. Again, 10 games, and one of them is on ESPN2. That'll be the first one. So Saturday, December 2nd, the first game of the season for these two teams is the Wings and the Riptide at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN2. On a Saturday, that's huge for the NLL because they can broadcast college football. Come on now. Great job. Brendan Glasheen will be on play-by-play. Mitch Belisle as an analyst, and Ashley Miller will be on the sideline for the reporting. Then you've got end of December on the 30th, the Riptide and the Rock on ESPNU. The remaining games are on ESPNU, but still a big flex. Friday, January 12th, Seals at the Desert Dogs. Sunday, February 4th, is Mammoth at the Seals. Friday, February 9th, the Mammoth and the Panther City. Friday, February 23rd, so that's 3 games in February, by the way. The Georgia Swarm and the San Diego Seals. March the 1st on a Friday is the Rock and the Dogs. Friday, April 5th will be Buffalo Bandits and Colorado Mammoth, a rematch of the finals of the last 2 seasons. Sunday, April 14th is Albany at Panther City. And Saturday, April 20th, 2024 at 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPNU, the Buffalo Bandits in Las Vegas. Again, I love this. I think it's great for the game. I know I was on record saying the NLL should go on YouTube if we don't get more of this. And lo and behold, we got more of this. So 10 linear games, that's a big deal because if you think streaming is still a thing, it's very hard to scroll through ESPN Plus and find the National Lacrosse League at this point in time. So this is great work by the NLL, and thank you to ESPN. Thank you, Disney, Walt Disney, my man. I'm kidding. But this great stuff. I love this so much. Tomorrow, myself and producer Joe will have our top 10 players, top 15 players. We'll do top 15 of the National Lacrosse League, and that includes goalies. Our goalie lists were already ranked. Top 5 for producer Joe, which will be a graphic in just a few minutes on Instagram and Twitter. Joe had number 1, Matt Vince. Number 2, Christian Del Bianco. Number 3, Nick Rose. Number 4, Dylan Ward. Number 5 was Brett Dobson. I had the same top 3, Matt Vince, Del Bianco 2, Nick Rose 3. I had Brett Dobson at 4, and I put Doug Jameson at 5. And yes, I did snub Dylan Ward. I think regular season does matter. And I think team defense matters. And I don't think Albany had any of it, so Doug Jameson gets the nod. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys, once again. This show is growing so much. We love you guys. Unlike the PLL, we are big fans of Midwest here on this here Daily Dive. Hey, Daily Dive Lax on social media. Click the link tree in our bios for all the great links to help support the show in the best way possible. You can shop our merchandise, which is probably the best way. You can also use the Fanatics affiliate link, and you don't have to just buy NLL merchandise. You can buy all kind of other leagues as well, like NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, etc. NASCAR, college football, you get it. You can also have B-Res Coffee Company code Daily Dive at checkout for the best in coffee flavors you never knew you needed. It's coffee for gamers by gamers. Thanks so much for tuning in once again, guys. It is 1:26. We will see you tomorrow. I'm your host, Michael Carvelis. For everyone that watches the show, thank you. You're the bread, you're the butter, you are the cheese, you are everything. As for those behind the scenes, I see you. For producer Joe, thank you, my friend. I'm your host, Michael Carvelis, once again. This has been Daily Dive. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye.